Hello everyone, I am Dr. Amanda, your plant-based lifestyle physician and health coach who is here to educate and empower you to make healthy decisions so that you can live your most abundant life. Well, today I am making lentils, which is a very simple recipe, something that I do a lot because it doesn't take a lot of ingredients and it does not take a lot of time. So let me show you the ingredients here. I have them placed on the counter here. So as you can see, I have, of course, lentils. You can tell I love Trader Joe's red splint lentils. I have a mix of carrots, celery, and onions. I do this because I don't have to chop as much. Then I have vegetable broth. So those are the mainstays. And then I have just a little olive oil that I will use to saute the veggies first. And then some sea salt and black pepper for seasoning. So let's get started. So first I just take a little bit of the olive oil, heat up a saucer pan, and I just pour a little bit of oil in there. You can definitely do this without oil. It's like maybe a tablespoon. I just noticed that the vegetables cook quicker, but I have been learning how to cook without oil, and you can just make the pan very hot if you don't want to use any oil at all. So I'm just going to roll the oil around a little bit in the pan. And once again, because I try to make this as simple as possible, I just take this whole mixture and pour it in at one time. Now, since I'm only making a cup of the lentils, I'm only going to use half of this instead of the whole thing. Usually I make a lot more lentils, and so I will just use the whole thing. So I'm just going to take half of this and put it in the pan here. And then I just stir it around. So I just leave that on, try not to do too high, for maybe like 5 minutes or so until the vegetables become a little bit more tender and the onions are more translucent in appearance, okay? Next, I'm going to get the lentils ready. All right, so I'm just going to move over here because it is important to actually rinse the lentils off. So I'm going to move over to the sink here. Let me grab all my things. And I just take a cup of lentils. I actually just measure this out, so I have 1 cup. Pour the lentils in there. So it's a little bit under a cup, but that's good enough. And then I have this strainer that I just pour the lentils in there. Have that there. And then I actually take the water, turn the water on, and just rinse the lentils off. And I just shake them around a bit. And this is to get out any like little pebbles that may be in there. Whenever they package the lentils, sometimes that can be the case. And I noticed that the lentils actually cook better when you rinse them off. So that's why it is recommended that you rinse them off. So again, if I see any pebbles, then I'll just try to remove those. Get them off. So I found out it's easiest to do with a strainer. So you can actually see it, and then of course, not a big mess. The water just goes right through. Okay, again, I just move it around, and then I just set them to drain out. So I just set them in the sink to drain them out. Now we're going to come back and check on our mixture over here. So again, just looking at that, making sure they don't stick. So I'll let them sit a little bit longer. So I'm just continuing to watch these closely. Looks like they're getting close to being done here. Or at least ready for me to add the lentils, I should say. Then at this point, I just add a little bit of sea salt, grab that over there, and pepper, and I just kind of sprinkle just a little bit in there because the vegetable broth itself has a little bit of salt. And then of course you can add some also at the end. So I just sprinkle a little bit in there, and I'm going to tilt this up so you can see it. So it's not a lot that I added in there, because for healthy meals we want to try to limit the amount of sodium and the amount of oils that we're adding. So that's why I try to do very little. And again, as we continue in our health journeys, we can use less and less of these seasonings and oils and actually get the natural flavors of the foods themselves. So initially, as you're transitioning, you may find yourself adding a bit more because your taste buds haven't adapted. But as you eat more healthier and try different recipes with different types of seasonings and herbs and spices, you'll actually see that the food has natural flavor, that you don't have to add too much to them. Okay, now I'm just going to grab the lentils. So I have them still here. They drained a bit from there, and I'm just going to pour them directly into our mixture here. Try to get out as much as possible. That's the only thing, when you have to rinse them off, they kind of stick. But hey, we'll just work with it. Take our spoon and get them all in there. So I'll just mix the lentils around in here. And I have them sit for a minute or so without adding the vegetable broth as of yet. Just to absorb some of the flavors from the vegetables. Then we get the vegetable broth. My light is kind of there. You can probably see it. So the vegetable broth here, it's about 4 cups in here. For me, it's probably now 3 because I used a cup of it earlier. So again, just move the lentils around. And again, this is 1 cup of lentils and about 1/4 of a cup of each vegetable. Now, I like my lentils a little bit more soupy, so you can actually look and see how much you want to add. So I add anywhere between 2 to 4 cups of vegetable broth. So that's probably closer to almost 3 cups. So then I just let the lentils sit, and then I'll put a lid on there and let them boil. Again, mine are a little bit soupy, especially with the red lentils. They are more soupy. If you want lentils that are more firm, you usually use the black lentils, but I just like the red lentils. So we'll let this simmer. It usually takes about maybe 15 or 20 minutes, so I'm gonna let this simmer and then we'll come back. So we're just gonna check on the lentils here. See, they're boiling up. So I just kind of stir them around a little bit. And then I'm gonna turn the heat down just a bit, because I don't want all the broth to boil off. And we'll give it a little bit more time. Again, it's gonna be anywhere, probably 15-20 minutes. All right, I'm keep checking on them. We're getting close, but like I said, I like mine a little bit more soupy. So I usually at this point add a little bit more vegetable broth. Just a tiny bit, because I like to keep them covered. So we want to continue to check on the lentils just to make sure they're not sticking or become too dry. That's why I like to continue to kind of move them around. So again, I love lentils because they are an excellent source of protein, which most people always think that they cannot get protein with plants. So lentils are a good protein source. They're in the category of legumes. So when you hear someone that talks about plant-based, they eat whole foods that includes legumes, then this will be your lentils. So it also helps with a source of folate, fiber, which we definitely all need to help with a good gut, healthy gut, which helps with our digestion. And it's high in, or it's a good source of iron and potassium. So in the lentils, they also have high amount of potassium and polyphenols, which you find in plants that actually has a antioxidant activity, so decreases like inflammation in the body. There have been actual some studies done to look at how lentils actually affect chronic disease, and if you follow me at all, you would notice that I always talk about trying to prevent or reverse chronic diseases such as high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, things like that. Well, in these studies, they actually shown that lentils can help lower your blood pressure, improve your blood cholesterol, and your blood glucose. So you get something that tastes great along with something that actually helps prevent or better control your chronic diseases. All right, so they're starting to stick a little bit, so I gotta move them around down there at the bottom. And we're about done. They're looking wonderful. It's making me more hungry than I already was. I wish you can smell these. It's like, can you smell it? Yum. Anything that has that mixture of the celery, onions, and carrots to start with, I always love that. I use that for the base of all my soups. And then, of course, these lentils. And it just makes things more flavorful. Of course, you can make lentils without those things, but I love to add those in. And, of course, you get more nutrients in there with adding in your carrots, celery, and onions. And, of course, the more colors that you eat, the more phytonutrients that you get, which that's what we need for our immune system and a good health. So at this point, they're looking pretty good. Sometimes at this point you can taste them and see if you want to add a little bit more sea salt. And you can do that if you like. Again, want to try to limit it as much as possible, but you can always add in other natural foods that may have a little bit of other different types of flavors. So usually I like to add lentils with Brussels sprouts. So I'll roast Brussels sprouts, or even make some brown rice. And of course, like you already saw, I like Trader Joe's, so they actually have frozen brown rice where you can just put in the microwave, so it'll be very quick. So looks like our lentils are done. So I'm just going to scoop a little bit out. They're very hot, so I'm just going to scoop a little bit in my bowl here, and I'm going to turn off this stove and cover them back up, and I'm going to take them off the heat, because I don't know if you can see the steam, but they're kind of still smoking hot there. So usually I take a little bit and taste it. So like I said, you can see the lentils, like I said, I like them a little bit more soupy, and they're still kind of hot, so I don't want to burn my tongue here, but definitely very nutritious. And like I said, you can actually add it with some brown rice. So very yummy. And nutritious. My 2-year-old even eats lentils, so definitely something you want to try. All right. Well, you guys have a blessed day, and let me know how your lentils turn out. Bye-bye.